Here's a little tea that I'll tell you. So before I joined vshojo, right? You know, I don't remember much, but in a dream I had once upon a time, hypothetically in a dream that never existed, where I dreamt about another hypothetical, right? I started my VTubing journey. You know, it's so hard to tell stories because like, whatever, everything is in a dream, huh? But like, just keep up with me. Trust me, this will be worth it and it'll make sense. So hear me out. In a dream I had once upon a time, where it's about a hypothetical, I started my VTubing journey like years ago, you know, way before vshojo, but this was in a dream. And then I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna be a VTuber for real or something like that, right? I remember the first time I told my parents that I wanted to be a streamer, they were against it. Like my mom specifically was very against it. Because at that time, I had a pretty stable job. Like I had a pretty decent job. It wasn't like, oh my god, it pays you super well. But for Indonesian standards, it does pay you well. So I used to be in the fashion industry and my job was working with a lot of like, you know, clients and all that, like designing stuff. But my clientele were already like bigger named people. So my clothing is I usually dress up either like celebrities, talk show hosts. I've worked to make like uniforms for people that work in like those bougier malls because they need to have like uniforms and shit. So my clientele was pretty decent. But the thing is, it's not under my name, right? It's under my company's name. It's just, that's my work, you know? So like, if my company gets requested, either they request me or my company will recommend me. So with that in mind, it's pretty good for Indonesian standards. Like I got paid pretty well. In Indonesia, right? Minimum wage is around like $200 to $300 a month. Yeah, $300 a month is minimum wage. The most I got paid was around $600 a month, which is a lot. Okay, like considering we are from Indonesia, that is quite a lot. So yeah, I know it's like, oh my god, pain, but a meal is $1. So like, keep that in mind. It's shit, but it is what it is. But at that time, getting paid 600 600 USD. Yeah, getting paid 600 like US dollars a month is huge. That's like really big. Yeah, I think like the most I got was that much, sekitar 8,5, and that's for commission. Like 8.5 mil I got one time because I got like a commission thing. So it's not that bad. Like I really appreciate it, right? But I was like full of more, you know, people and greed, Laya. Some people call it greed, some people call it ambition. Either way, I appreciate both. I was more ambitious at that time and I was like, I feel like there's more. And I did get a bit pissed because I didn't get recognition for the things I worked on. Like all the work I do, I will never get recognized. It's never going to be under my name. It's going to be under my company's name. And basically, you know, it just got me a bit like, maybe I should start doing something. Right? Because what I realized at that time was I enjoyed designing, but I really enjoyed, you know, the networking aspect of like talking to my clients and all that good stuff, right? So I told my parents at that time, I was watching a lot of VTubers, I was watching a lot of streamers, and I told my parents, I was like, I think I want to try this out. I want to try streaming. And at that time, I only had a laptop. I had a laptop that I had ever since I was in college because we needed a computer to design stuff. I only had a laptop and like a garbage mic, and I was like, I want to try streaming just for the fun of it. And you know, obviously at first my parents are like, okay, whatever, bro, like whatever, bozo. It's just like a fun little hobby on the side. And I started talking to a lot of people. I met this one person. This is the first streamer that I've ever met, right? This is tea. This is a little bit of tea. Some people may have heard the story from a different person, but it's okay. I'll retell the story. I met this guy who was a Twitch streamer, and you know, he had like a Discord server. That was the first Discord server I ever joined in my life because I didn't know what Discord was at that time. So he had a Discord server. I met him on VR chat. Yeah, I met this guy on VR chat, and he was really, really nice. Like, he was so nice at first. And then we became friends, right? And then he would be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna stream. If you wanna, like, hop on and, like, play together on stream. I was like, sure. So I did. And this guy, like, I wouldn't say it's like, he had, like, a small following. He had, like, 1K, I think, like, yeah, 1K followers on Twitch. But over time, he became, like, more and more, I don't know, like, ego, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to say like, oh, he shows his true colors, but like he became more like boastful, right? So as I was in his stream, every time I were to be on his streams, his viewers would be, there'll be more viewers. When he doesn't stream with me, there'd be less viewers. So it was an ongoing joke in this like small community that I'm like, you know, it's like, oh, haha, like, Michi is carrying your ass, right? Even though I never agreed or anything, I never partook in that joke. It was clearly a joke because this guy has been streaming for years and I just joined in for like a week or two. So it was like clearly a joke because, you know, like the whole like, oh, viewers make fun of streamers, blah, blah, blah. And eventually he got very like weird to me, and there's a lot of factors to him that I realized was really weird. Like he would talk to a lot of girls, and you know, like he would talk to a lot of girls. The girls would join the Discord, and then I'd greet them, and then I'd hang out with them, and I find out that these girls are very young, and this guy is like old. Okay, like not old enough to be called quite, like not like, you know, it's like, oh, when I say old, I don't mean 21, I mean like you're almost 30, kind of like not still in his 20s, but like late 20s, you know. So I would talk to these girls because in this server there were girls, yes, but like I was the one that was more like active at that time, where I would be the one to be like, hey, you know, I'm playing this game if anyone wants to play with me. And these girls are so sweet, and I find out that a majority of them either just turned 18, just turned 17, or they haven't turned at all. And that was really weird, right? And I was like, to be fair, my friend was a very like family friendly streamer. So like on stream, he wouldn't be like talking about anything bad or anything. So I thought like, you know what? Like, isn't that a bit odd, right? So I started being more like, hey, like if other people like let's say I'm playing games and these like the girls were in there like hanging out with me, and other people come in and sometimes they act a bit too weird, I would be the one to kind of like flirt to them to make them more uncomfortable, you know, like to flirt with the guys to make them like ignore these girls. So that was kind of like the role I was playing in a bit more. I didn't want to call anyone out because I was new and I didn't know how things were. And keep in mind, I knew that this was weird, champ, but I can't accuse people, you know. So I was like a bit confused, and this lasted only for a couple of weeks. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, I let this happen for a year. It was a couple of weeks. And I told some of my friends, I was like, hey, I need you to know, do you know this person is like underage? Like, you do know that, right? And they'd be like, shit, I didn't know, blah, 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 blah. And like, that was like red flags are gathering. And then this guy that I met, like the streamer, became more and more like ego. Like he would start talking about, you know, oh, you don't know who I am. I have like 1K followers on Twitch. You know, I did this, I did that. And he would just keep talking about it unprompted. It's not even, I'm like, who the fuck are you even, bro? Like, I didn't do anything. He would just like, in a normal conversation, he's like, dude, you don't know who I am, bro. And I'm a people pleaser, so I was like, yo, crazy, that's huge. You know, and at that time, right, I don't have a channel where I stream. Like, I haven't streamed personally. So having 1K followers on Twitch is insanely impressive. At that time, the only social media I had was Facebook. This is, you know, it's old when I was like, yeah, I was on Facebook. But on Facebook, I only had like, what, like 100 friends, 200 friends. So having like 1K followers on Twitch, I was like, whoa, that's massive, bro. So I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like I'm like, you know, lying and trying to compliment him. I actually did think it's very impressive, and I do still think if you have 1,000 followers on Twitch, it's very, very impressive, you know? So I was like, yeah, dude, like, no, you're amazing. Like, you're doing really well. And then he became really weird to me. Like, he was very weird to me. Like, he would talk about, like, he would have days where he'd break down and be like, I have a crush on this girl, which is another girl on our server. Let's just call this other girl in our server, Jen. Right? There's this girl in our server named Jen, and he has been on and off with Jen for a while now. Like, they used to date, and then they broke up, and then they used to date again, and they broke up. All that good stuff. You know, and every time they broke up or they had an argument, my friend would go to me to ask for, like, girl advice. And at first, I was like, okay, sure, I'll give you girl advice. Like, sometimes, chat, I'm gonna be real with you, sometimes guys need to, you know, sometimes you're not an asshole, you just get confused because, you know, sometimes girls, they want something but they don't want to say it, and I got you, queen. Like, I'll tell him for you, you know? So I was like, okay, you need some girl advice. This is what I would recommend. Like, I'd recommend you give her some time. And this dude would like bombard her with messages. And I was like, okay, girl, like, you gotta give her space to breathe. You know, you can't just like DM her paragraphs every single day expecting her to respond to you. You gotta give her time, you know, just do something else. And then it would go from that to him like villainizing her sometimes. And then he'd be like, oh my God, she's the best person in the world. The next day he's like, God, I hate this girl, okay? Promise me you'll never talk to her. She's the worst person. She's so manipulative and cruel and two-faced, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, I will just say yeah, but then I'm not gonna actually believe you, because back then I was more naive, but I still do think it's like there's always good in people, right? So eventually I did end up talking to her. I forgot what prompted that, but I did end up talking to her to like apologize for something. And we start having a conversation, and she was very open. Like, she was very, very honest with her feelings. And I was like, wait, I never really asked this because it never crossed my mind at that time. But the way she talked was different, you know? Like, you know when you have a conversation with someone and then they refer to like, oh yeah, when, you know, like, you know, my friends in middle school, or my friends in primary, like, they refer to stuff like that, and their vocabulary is just young. You know, like, I would be like, oh yeah, Chow, and during college, or like, oh yeah, the first time when I was working. But no, this was like, oh yeah, I had a friend, like, you know, my friend, and like all they ever talk about was their middle school or their primary. And then I was like, listen, I know asking for a girl's age is very rude, but I was like, hey, I need to ask. Like, okay, this is how I did it, right? Because I didn't want to be odd. I was like, have you went to prom before? Like, that's always my go-to question. I was like, have you gone to prom before? And she says, oh yeah, I have prom like in a couple of years. And I was like, oh wait, so you're like, you know, like you just started high school? And they're like, no, yeah, like I'm like, was a freshman or whatever, which means they just turned like 17. Right? Like, they just turned 17. And this dude, according to what he told me, has been with her for like 3-4 years on and off. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Not freshman, I forgot, like high school. You know, like they're late high school. Well, middle of high school, which is around 17, I think. I don't know. Point is, she's young. She's too young for someone like him. Okay? And that was when I'm like, listen, girl, okay, I need you to, like, he was a friend of mine, but I know we just met. Either way, I don't know who you are, but you gotta understand he's very old. Okay? Like, girl, protect yourself. Like, please don't do this. But listen, I'm not gonna enforce myself. If they're gonna do whatever, it's on them. Okay? I don't know these people. So I gave my advice, said my piece, and then, well, this guy, my friend, became very weird to me. Like, he became very, very weird. He became like so clingy and all that shit. And eventually I confronted him, right? I was like, and when I say eventually, this sounds like, oh, we've been doing this for months. No, this all happened in the course of like 1 to 2 months. Like, wow, the internet people are very extreme. Like, this would happen like today, and then the next day something happens. Like, every day something happens. So I was like shook. And I remember this guy, like, we had an argument eventually, and he was like, he told me, he's like, yeah, you'll regret the day you made me like your enemy, or something like that. Like, you'll regret the fact that like you cut me off. Like, you don't know who I am. I'm a streamer. I have 1K followers on Twitch. I say this because he does repeat that a lot. And he's like, you will never make it as a streamer, Michi. You will never. You're not good enough. Like, you're boring. You don't know how to stream. Like, streamers don't want to watch people like you. So because I was also very like competitive, I was like, yeah, well, well, I'm gonna try. How would I know? Like, at that point, I didn't know if I was gonna try stream or not, but that kind of like pulled, like, you know, like the nail in the coffin, because I was like, well, since you said that I can't do it, now I'm gonna try because now I'm curious. So at that time, there was like this whole audition thing, right? And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to try to be an actual like streamer. Like, I want to give it my all. I want to try streaming. I've always been curious, you know, I was too scared, but now I'm curious and filled with spite. And you know what? If you can't motivate yourself, then motivate yourself with anger. Okay, if positivity can't make you go huzzah, then do it out of spite. Either way, it's gonna happen anyways. So I was like, Mom, now I have more motivation to try this out. And my mom literally told me to my face, no. She was like, Michi, no, don't be a streamer. And I was like, okay, well, fuck you, Mom. I was like, no, I'm gonna try to be a streamer. So I remember at that time I auditioned for something in a dream, hypothetically, I auditioned for something and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm so nervous. Do you think I'm gonna get accepted? Blah, blah, blah. And then she looked at me and she's like, I have a feeling you're not gonna be accepted. And I thought my mom was just being spiteful, but she was right. I didn't get accepted. Like, I got, like, denied. Oops. And I got kind of sad. But then, a couple of months later, you know, I still had work, so I was still working. It's not like I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, I just went back to the office, right? But a couple of months later, there was another audition. And I applied again because I was like bored and I was like, well, why not, right? Fuck it, why not? We ball. And I told my mom and I was like, Mom, remember that one audition you said I wasn't gonna get accepted and I didn't get accepted? I applied again. And my mom looked at me and she got so angry. She was like, fuck you. Like, she was like, why can't you just listen to me? Okay, I'm telling you, I have a bad feeling about this. And I was like, no, it's okay. I can handle rejection. I can't. Like, I'm not the type that's gonna be like, oh, you reject me once, I'll never try again. It's hard for me to try, but once I try, I won't give up, you know? So I was like, I can handle rejection, it's fine. And she's like, no, like, I have a bad feeling because I think you will be accepted. I just have a bad feeling. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you think I'm gonna get accepted? And my mom's like, I think you are gonna be accepted this time, but I just have a bad feeling, dude. I'm just telling you, like, I don't know, Michi, something about this just feels odd. And I was like, no, Mom, you have to understand this place is great. So I heard, so like that, right? I was like, oh, this place is great. And they've been here for super long, like, it's not gonna be bad. Yeah, and then I woke up and it was not a good dream in the end of it. It was not bad. It was just not like the best, right? And then I remembered during this time when I woke up, before I joined vshojo, but after I woke up, I told my mom. I remember because I spent a very long time dreaming, right? I've dreamt for a bit too long. So now I'm sitting there, no job, no nothing. And like, I'm literally sitting there. I have no IRL job. And I have like years worth of my life missing, you know? Like, if you were to apply for another job, they would probably ask, right? It's like, oh, can you explain this like gap in your life where you had nothing going on? I can't just say like, oh, I was like asleep the whole time, right? I can't even say that. Because, you know, who knew? But dreams come with like dream lawyers that ask you to sign dream contracts that tell you not to say shit. So I was like, I can't even justify it. So there I was. I woke up with like a gap in my life where all I did was sleep, apparently. And no job, no nothing. And I was shitting myself a little bit. I remembered I was like so scared. And I told my mom again. I don't know. I feel so bad for my mom because every time I get like anxious about stupid shit I can't change, I ask my mom, like, she knows what to do. I'm like, Mom, my life is falling apart. Do something. And my mom's just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You think I'm God? But I always do. I'm always like, what? Like, my mom would be like, Michi, what can you do? I'm like, nothing. And my mom's like, then? And I'm like, that's where you come in. She's like, bro, I gave birth to you. My job's done. Like, I always go to my mom for like stupid shit like this. But like, when I actually have a solution, I never ask my mom's opinion. And my mom gets so pissed about that. She's like, Michi, when you have problems, like problems I can help you with, you never ask me for help. But then when you have problems that no one can do anything but God, right? You ask me for help. Who do you think I am? You think I am God or something? And I'm like, Mom, just help me fix it, please. And my mom never does, but she just knows what to say. I don't know why. I've always just believed my mom's words like point blank. And then, anyways, back to the story. There I was shitting myself, right? I was scared and I had nothing. So at the time, it wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, no, vshojo already approached me and I already know what's gonna happen next. I didn't. I haven't even talked to vshojo before this point. So I was alone in a sense. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, what do I do? Should I like, you know, like, should I go look for jobs? Like, should I apply to like companies? But if I did, you know, I don't think I'll ever be like, my old job would not accept me back. Even if they did, I probably wouldn't want to, okay? And like, I'm too tired. Like, I can't do the things I used to do anymore. You know? But I don't think they will accept me back because they also have an ego. And I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, what do you think I should do? And my mom looked at me and she's like, I have a feeling you should just wait. Wait for a little bit. And I was like, no, but like, what do I do when I'm waiting? And she's like, pick up a hobby. You know? Just wait. Like, pick a hobby up. Just as long as you don't let this affect you, I think you'll be fine. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Right? And I remember she told me it's like, you know, like an idle mind is the devil's playground. That's what she always tells me. Ever since I was young, she's like, Michi, if you have nothing to think about, then you will think about useless things that will only bother you even more. So just fill your mind with positivity or make yourself busy in a good way. Even though it doesn't generate money, it's fine. As long as your mind is not like head empty, you know? So my mom told me, it's like, you should try and pick up some hobbies. You know, like I used to like painting, or I like to make 3D stuff. Maybe I can make some clothes as like a hobby. And I was like, Mom, like I was so angry. I remember this. I was so pissed at my mom because I was like, you have to understand, I am not making any money. Like I don't have a job and I need money, right? Like I have always worked. Like I had a part-time job ever since I was like 14. So I've been working ever since I was 14. I had school, job, college, job. Like I always had something going on. That was the first time where I genuinely had nothing, you know? Like, I didn't have a job. I didn't have work. I didn't have school. I had nothing. And I was like, Mom, you have to understand, I need money. And she's like, Michi, I need you to relax. Because right now, if you were to like stress about this, you will just ruin yourself. So it's pointless. Pick up a hobby. Trust me. For just 3 months is what she told me. She's like, 3 months, you pick up a hobby. After, you will know what to do. And I was like, thanks. That's so fucking useless, right? But I did. I ended up picking resin making. And because of that, you know, making resin is fun and all, but it's very painful if it's silent. So I hanged out with a lot of friends. This is the nice part about being jobless. I had more time to like hang out with friends, really like, you know, talk with them and spend more time with the people I love, spend more time with my family, all that stuff. And I also picked up resin. I also picked up painting. I picked up some handicraft based hobbies because I like creating things. And I just chilled. I literally just took my time and then boom, vshojo come waddling my way. Suddenly out of nowhere, I don't know what happened, right? I just talked to people. I just enjoyed life. And then, I don't know. vshojo came in. They're like, hey, I noticed that you have nothing to do. Would you like something to do? And I was like, yes, sure. But at that point, chat, I shit you not, I needed those couple of months to be like chill. Because back then, my brain was so focused on like money. You know, like I was like, I need to pay this bill. I need to pay my like debt. I need to pay, you know, like I need money for this. I need money for that. Like I need to work. But during those times, it really settled to me like there are more important things than cash. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, fucking cash is good, you know. If I'm gonna be miserable, I'd rather be miserable in a big expensive house, okay? But like it dawned on me that, you know, there are some feelings that just feel good if you let yourself feel that way. You know, like being able to talk with your friends and hang out with them, it feels really nice. And I think I changed my mentality a bit. I feel like if I didn't have that time to myself, I would be pretty jaded now because a lot of my experiences with working has always kind of ended with like, bruh. You know, like, I wouldn't say it's bad, okay? I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's just like, they never, like, my jobs never hurt me, but they promised that they could help me, but they never did. And I'm not just saying one company, okay? Like, this is multiple. All of my job experiences have been the same to this, where it's like, they don't technically hurt me, but when I needed them, they were never there. So I would say I was a bit more jaded in the start of like this year. I was quite jaded because I was very like, what do you want from me actually? You know, like at this point, just tell me what you want. I will do it so I don't expect anything of you. Like, I don't think people could be nice, you know? But during that break, I realized like, no, there are people that are genuinely just nice. Like money doesn't always corrupt people. And I just needed to see that for a bit. And then I became a bit like this now. Now I'm like happier and a bit calmer and I experienced new things. And then vshojo came, and now I'm in vshojo. And I remembered, this is one thing that's really odd that my mom told me. She told me, like, before, right? Like, when vshojo was like, okay, you know, come with us and stuff like that. I told my mom. I was like, hey, Mom, I know last time, you know, you were pretty against, you know, streaming and stuff like that. But I need to tell you, I got accepted or, like, invited by vshojo to work with them and stuff. How do you feel about that? And my mom looked at me and she's like, you know what? Congratulations. I have a good feeling about this one. This is the first time my mom had a good feeling about anything. So, I don't know. Ever since then, I'm a bit more hopeful. Yeah, this is the first time my mom told me, you know what? Good choice. I was like, oh, did you just give me the green pass? Okay. I don't know. If my mom blesses my choices, I feel like my choices become better. Somehow. Like, I'm just not as cursed if she blesses my choices. That's pretty good. One of her only concern was that she doesn't want me to fall into any adult stuff. Was her only concern. She's like, Michi, I notice your model have big boobs. I don't want you to show boobs, yeah? She's like, I don't want that. And I'm like, don't worry, mom. I'm pretty sure if I stream, I'm just gonna show my head. And she's like, good, good. No boobs. No boobs. No, if you have outfit, I don't want boobs only, okay? No only bra, no tape on boob. You have to wear good clothes, presentable. So, yeah, my mom does not bless any bikini outfits, chat. So you'll never get that from me until my mom blesses it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, my mom tells me that as long as I look presentable, you know, I don't show too much skin, my mom will approve.
Facet got scammed for $3. Hey Mishim, can you let your mom adopt chat? Michi has had a fortune teller in home and she never took full advantage till now, SMH.
You know something nuts, chat? When I say this is the first time my mom approved of anything, I shit you not, it is the truth. Anytime, like even back then when I was in the fashion industry, I was like, Mom, I have this opportunity to work with like, I'm the one styling the host. I'm the one that makes these clothes. My mom's like, you should be careful. I have a bad feeling about this job. Like, I swear to God, okay, for my whole entire life, my mom is always like, I have a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling about that. She always has a bad feeling. Like, she rarely has a good feeling about anything. So obviously, I was like, girl, you're not a fortune teller. You are just pessimistic. Like... I am over here crying to you about my insecurities and you're just being pessimistic. But me joining vshojo, she was like, she had no complaints. She was like, okay, this is good. I see a good thing. This is good. You know how odd? I remember a long time ago, my mom would say, like, she wouldn't say the vibes, but she says, like, the colors look better or the colors look worse, is how she describes things, right? She's like, yeah, it's just like, you know, thinking about it, I have, like, this murky feeling in my heart. Like, in my heart, I just feel like there's something wrong, you know, something murky. And I was like, okay, I think it's your unresolved trauma. Because, like, girl, you always have that murky feeling in your heart. When do you not have a murky feeling in your heart? But then when I joined, like, vshojo, she was like, good. I feel okay. This is not bad. This is not bad. Just don't... jangan terjerumus is what she says. What is terjerumus in English? Like, don't slip and fall into the booby world. I don't know what terjerumus is. Honestly, I agree. Not because I think it's bad. Like, I think the adult industry is fine. It's just, I don't think I can survive it. Hell no. Yeah, like, so I... Like, she just says, like, she doesn't want me to be, like, you know, fan servicey in that way. Right? Like, no, like, oh my god, Chad, do you want to put your cock in between my tits? Like, none of that. And I, like, jiggle my boobs on stream every now and then. Like, even though I don't think it's bad, I think it's just, like, not in my forte, you know? It's not really what I'm good at, and it's not something I'm comfortable with. So, I agree with my mom in that sense. Yeah, like, my mom doesn't know that VTubers are, like, sussy or anything like that. She just thinks of it in general because she knows that online, sometimes people can be a bit weird. And she just says, like, you know, Michi, you have to, as long as you draw a straight boundary, you know, like, you create this boundary where you're like, you know, don't allow people to be weird with you, then I think it's good. Like that. Like, she doesn't even know. Like, she genuinely didn't even know that VTubers are known to be, like, sussy or whatever. She just genuinely doesn't like it in a whole, I guess.
Got scammed for
I agree,
$3.
though.